We're going to the West Coast. Mr. Furious, number 56, David Benefield, joining us on video. There he is from his car. He's looking so good. Welcome, Dave. Good morning. How are you?
It's lousy weather in Vancouver right now. It's gray. It's raining. This isn't summer, and I'm bummed.
Let's start with the BC Lions, if you don't mind. A lot of things to go through with you this morning on this chat, but the BC Lions at 1-8, did you see this coming?
No, not at all. Because, I mean, Ed's got tons of experience. I mean, he understands football tradition, winning tradition, whether it's back from the USC days, Eskimo, his time with the Eskimos. I mean, that's a lot of knowledge. So to me, this is a one-off. I mean, this is okay. We'll fix everything. We'll try to finish strong, and then we'll go from there.
You guys jump in anytime. What are the stories, David, for you through 10 weeks in the CFL this season? To us, it looks like a thrill a minute, aside from the 1-8 BC Lions. What's got you the most jazzed up about the CFL?
I mean, truthfully, if the Lions aren't playing well, that's tough. But the best story is the Thespians in Montreal coaching, and they're doing so great right now with, when you've got Kahari Jones, Flash Gordon there. Those two are actors. I just wanted you to know that. They are actors. I've been with Kahari. I've watched him act in his past. I did a class with him in Winnipeg one time, and he was amazing on a cold read. I mean, he absolutely killed cold read. So we've talked about it before, and it's just, when I see him, I just shake my head and go, dude, I thought you're going to be acting, not coaching. And it's funny watching their team. They're a younger looking team. They feel young. They play with an emotion that's great. And I think that comes from the top. I mean, it's good to see what Vernon Adams is doing. I mean, how many ankles can that kid break as a scrambling quarterback? I mean, center, midfield, wherever. He's amazing. And his knowledge of the passing game. I mean, I think we all sleep on Eastern Washington because it's Eastern Washington. They're not a Power 5, but just having an offense like that, you learn that offense. And then he played for Chip. I mean, that's a lot of, run pass option offense, a lot of spread offense, a lot of air raid type tendencies. And he's doing great right now.
David, I'm exactly with you. I thought about the thespian thing and also the fact that he was doing color on CBC. I thought he wanted to be a broadcaster, and all of a sudden he's killing it as a head coach, and I'm just cheering him on just like you because he's such a great guy. Now, something jogged in my memory. You are a must-follow, particularly on Facebook. That's where you put your thoughts out. As zany as they are. I'm following very closely, David. You may or may not have known that. You said the other day, you asked your Facebook friends, what's it going to take to make the CFL sexy? And I never really read the comments. What was the reaction to that? What kind of answers did you get?
Well, on my new platform, it seems like, since I was also a budding broadcaster, I don't know what happened, but I just see it like, I know it happened, but I don't know. Just, too much personality for them at the time, I guess. I think with the CFL, to get the CFL sexy, we have to peel back just the years of playing guys as just marginal talent, because we've got too many guys that go south and have memorable careers, and that just tells me we need to rethink what we're doing, because the kids aren't buying into it. Our demographics getting older. We're not going out getting the young kids. We don't want to talk about how great anyone is and the way that it's deserved. I mean, Rod, if I go home to LA, as horrible as USC and UCLA are, you still have a reason to go to the game to see the guy that they're saying is going to be the next great Pac-12 All-American or All-American, or will be playing on Sundays. We've got to promote our guys a whole lot better. I mean, we've got commercials and ads where we don't even use our players.
Mm-hmm. I 100%. I 100%
So
agree.
at some point, we've got to get off this lunch pail. They work at the factory and then they go to the practice thing. That's not sexy. That's not sexy at all. Even Mike O'Shea told me one time, 1,000 years ago, back in the pre-internet days. We were both standing on the field, and he goes, Dave, in Toronto, these guys don't want to see anybody playing for $75,000. That's what Mike told me. And I was like, but it's great football. Yeah, it is. I mean, how many Cam Wakes do we have to produce before people go, oh, you know what? CFL's cool. It's got it's a great game. It's a different game. It's a great game. But we don't want to buy in as media. We don't want to buy in as fans because there's a disconnect between young and old. It's just, we got a lot going on, but someone needs to just put it down and go, this is where we're going. This is what we're going to do. And this is how we're going to hype our players. And that's where we have to go.
Couldn't agree more.
Else.
Bravo. There's the bravo, David. I'm with you 100% on that. Now you guys got more football questions.
Well, I don't know if I have a question as much as this Marshall Hamilton. I want to pass on a compliment. In the short time that you were on TSN broadcasts, I loved you, and because I love your outspoken, and you use the comment too much personality, and I'm not asking you to tell the story because there's probably stuff you can or can't tell, but I'm the type of person that's always prided myself on being outspoken. I'm going to call a spade, whether it was in my HR career or whether it's in the work that I do in broadcasting. And I think Rod's got his hand slapped probably for many, many years because you can't say that, or no, you have to always predict the Saskatchewan Roughriders are going to win because that's who you work for. And I don't respect organizations that don't allow their people to speak freely. If you disagree, you disagree. So I just want to say, I really loved your outspoken personality. Too much personality. I disagree with that comment, but love to see you back doing it somewhere.
You know what? I appreciate it, but if you look at the NFL right now, NFL Network is personality driven. Mm-hmm. One of my fraternity brothers actually is the big cheese down there, Dave Singer. We're fraternity brothers from Northridge. He's an executive producer, I believe, there. So it's a personality driven league. I mean, TV is entertainment. What you guys are doing is entertainment. And for us to shy away from the entertainment part of it with our broadcasters, our analysts, we're missing the boat, and we're missing young fans because they're buying into this more so than the 90s. I mean, when it was zines and bootleg VHS tapes. I mean, think about it. We got two guys on TSN right now that are really doing nothing more than borrowing the mid 90s of ESPN's greatest broadcasters. I mean, think about it. You guys didn't get to see it much, but I did. I was watching ESPN, watching SportsCenter, 11 o'clock. It was the show, and we have guys that are borrowing that now, and people still want to shy away from it.
And here's a couple of examples that you'll relate to. I mean, I'm a little older generation, but I mean, I grew up watching NFL football with John Madden, and I grew up watching Howard Cosell. I mean, you want to talk about people. Howard Cosell didn't know anything about football, but he had personality, and he wasn't afraid to call a spade, and people would show up to see what him and Dandy Don would say because they were just so out there with their comments, and that's what put Monday Night Football on the map.
Oh yeah, exactly. And we don't really have that, and we don't really have players that sort of transcend the CFL right now. And I don't know if we're afraid of that, but we shouldn't be, because if you have players that are, I remember Montreal walking down the street pregame, that evening, the day we landed, and some guy jumps literally out of a doorway, and I thought we were going to go to blows because he called me by my name. I was like, oh, here we go. But he was like, can't wait to watch you play. And I'm like, just continued our walk. But it was weird that I was recognized in Montreal, which I consider the hippest place in Canada by far, but it was good to know that we were making inroads into these different areas. And I think that's what we have to do. We really have to push our players. Our players have to want to do it, and they got to understand that this is part of the gig. This is what you do.
That's kind of what we're doing here with this show, David. Obviously, you've been following it, and it's been so much fun. And we're our own bosses, and the viewership's growing and growing and growing. And I think we have something here. But Derek, you go ahead.
I just wonder, David, is this a marketing challenge or is this a scouting challenge? Because I remember back in the mid '90s or the early '90s, Doug Flutie comes in. Here's a guy that's won a Heisman, or Rocket Ishmael comes in, a big ticket guy. Guys like yourself, these personality guys who were college stars that you could watch on a Saturday. So does it become a marketing department to really get the players out there, or does it become a scouting thing to get some of these big name guys up? Vernon Adams, in my opinion, and I'm a college football kind of dork, is a guy that you could market. I mean, he did play at Oregon. He played in that very exciting offense under Chip Kelly, but yet, they don't really draw that comparison, and they don't really pump him up.
Well, you're right, we should be talking all about the Oregon day. I mean, even though the Eastern Washington days were just as exciting, but the Oregon days, they've got the cash. I mean, like, for instance, you're like the Rough Riders Stadium should be talked about and seen as much as possible. It should flood my IG. I mean, it should flood my Instagram. It should flood everything, because it is the state of the art, and it's what it should be, what professional football needs to be for this new generation of athletes. Because think about it, guys. You see what Clemson did. You know what Oregon has. You know what Bama has. And all these schools, we were at the UCLA football camp for my son, and it was amazing. They've got such a nice facility, but they said to me, Dave, we can't keep up with all these other schools with all this property and money. We're already outdated, and we're 2 years old.
Jeez.
Because if you want the bling, and these guys are dropping 50, 60, 75 million dollars on a sports facility, but that's what the kids are expecting. And if we bring that with us, we're in trouble. And also, we also have to bring, we have a whole 90s rod of players that were amazing, that did amazing things. Like, I think it was Mark Cuban saying, if Larry Bird had the same internet following as a Dirk Nowitzki, Larry Bird would be a god. But because he doesn't have that internet following of highlight films going out there, he's nowhere near Dirk. But all of us who know sports know Larry's a god. He's beyond Dirk. So we have to understand this, and we can't stay stuck. And this is how we used to do it, or this is how we did it in hockey, because hockey's a distant third in sports world. So we got to keep up with the AAs, the NCAAs, the NFLs, and find a space that fits our pocket, but the imagination, because we got creatives. We got great creative people. Like, look at the writer stuff. Some of the writer stuff that I see on Instagram is beautiful. Hamilton has amazing stuff. Toronto, they do amazing stuff. The Lions came out with a great marketing, great marketing package this year. I mean, the faces, it was kind of like iTunes meets the Raisins. I mean, it was very hip, and it's the sharpest thing I've seen them do. The uniforms aren't great, but I think the marketing, the look of it all was sweet. They did a great job. Creative did a great job.
I thought the Lions, they won the offseason in marketing. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Good job.
I've said it many times. But here's the funny thing. David Benefield with us, Mr. Furious. Landon writes in from Kamloops and says, this guy knows his stuff. Keep it up, man. So it's like the younger generation doesn't even know who some of these guys from the 90s and early 2000s are. But David, we'll do this a lot more with you if you're cool with that. And you do have a lot of fans out here on the prairies. You also know that. So can you just update people in your life? Obviously, you got a son in football. What's up since the last time we talked?
Well, Rod, I saw you on my Facebook with these beautiful women. I was like, Rod's going to get in trouble dating these younger women.
Right.
Boy, and then it turned out that it's your wife,
Yep.
So I was like, okay, that's safe.
Smooth.
Thank God, Rod, because I didn't want to have to come bail you out,
Again.
But, it's a long drive, late night. But my son's gone to the dark side. He's a quarterback. He did really well at UCLA camp, and he did really well throwing in Southern Cal with the California kids. I'm a coach at Vancouver College with Ron Turner, and he's D coordinator. And of course, Todd Burnett, our 20th year for Todd Burnett at Vancouver College. So it's great. He's an Eastern Washington alum, a quarterback too. So that's a good thing. And I work for I'm a wholesaler for Dealer's Choice. We're a subsidiary of Beacon Roofing Supply, and I'm pretty much all over. My territory is British Columbia, so I drive a lot.
Big territory.
Well,
I cover ground like a big linebacker that I was.
And a darn good one. Three-time All-Star, by the way,
guys.
David Benefield. We could go on a long, long time. Gives you a lot of time to listen to this show, David, so I hope that you can. We'll let you go, but thanks for this. You shook some trees today, which I think is great. And have a great rest of the day, my man. Stay close.
Rod, thank you, and keep doing what you're doing. And I only shake those trees because the CFL gave me my opportunity, and you have to make sure it stays on path and keeps getting better. But you guys keep doing what you're doing down there at the Riders. Keep leading the rest of us out of the darkness with the great facilities and the heart and the emotion, all right?
Good stuff. We will try. Thank you,
guys.
David Benefield. Look at that guy. Look at that smile, man. That is a winner right there.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.